So by now you probably know all about Mark Carney's Brookfield issues. Carney desperately doesn't want to talk about the Brookfield funds he set up in island tax havens like Bermuda and the Cayman Islands, or how much money he is personally set to make off his Brookfield investments while serving as Prime Minister. In fact, Carney has repeatedly refused to rule out collecting payments from Brookfield in the future.
I own nothing now. I came into public life at a time of crisis.
Global News followed up with Carney's staff, Carolyn, but their response did not address if Carney expects future payments from either Brookfield or Stripe.
But don't worry, Mark Carney says it's all in a blind trust, even though Carney knows exactly what went into that blind trust. It's only blind to other Canadians, since Carney refuses to publicly disclose his assets, as all other leaders and members of Parliament have already done. And don't worry, Mark Carney says he has conflict of interest screens in place to ensure he doesn't do anything to promote any companies he's financially invested in. All good, right? Well, not so fast. Something incredible happened last night on the nationally televised French leaders debate. With millions of voters watching, Mark Carney decided to promote a company he's personally invested in.
Nuclear companies, including Westinghouse.
Did you hear that? He promoted the massive American corporation Westinghouse for nuclear power. And guess who owns Westinghouse? Brookfield, of course. Brookfield bought 51% of Westinghouse back when Carney was the chair of Brookfield. And not just Brookfield, but the very investment fund Mark Carney set up and managed, the Bermuda-based Global Transition Fund. Mark Carney was the co-lead of that very fund. If Westinghouse wins Canadian contracts, Mark Carney is almost certainly set to benefit financially. We're potentially talking about billions of tax dollars here. And on national television, Mark Carney just happens to promote Brookfield-owned Westinghouse.
Big nuclear companies, including Westinghouse.
You almost can't make this up, except, of course, we're dealing with the same old Liberal Party, so it's completely believable. And what other Liberal policies are likely to promote Brookfield investments? Heat pumps, modular housing, solar panels, wind turbines? Well, Mark Carney already has a history of doing this. Last year, Carney openly bragged about using his political connections to push so-called green jet fuel to the benefit of Brookfield's bottom line.
I do spend some time advising on what, again, pro bono, but advising on the types of policies that are going to have maximum impacts for investors. So I'll give you an example. What's happened in the UK, the EU, is they've said to major airlines, look, if you're flying in and out of Heathrow or wherever, you have to have 10% of your load has to be sustainable aviation fuel by, I think it's 2030. In that case, we Brookfield put $1 billion to work there, and it's a fantastic opportunity.
And in the United Kingdom, Carney was caught lobbying his friends for heat pump subsidies to help a Brookfield-owned company called HomeServe. And now, Mark Carney wants to run the entire federal government. And he just showed us all on national TV that he doesn't care about his conflicts of interest. In fact, he's flaunting them. For months, we've been demanding that Mark Carney disclose his assets and conflicts of interest before Canadians go and vote. And Carney has repeatedly refused to do so. He's dismissively laughed it off, as only a Liberal could do. Canadians deserve so much better than the continued graft and corruption that would come with a fourth Liberal term. And there's only one party that can stop it: Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives.